Hi, I'm Mike Vanderbilt, assistant editor of Daily Grindhouse. I'm here with Matt Wedge, one of our best writers over at Daily Grindhouse, and we're hanging out with the team behind Phantasm Ravager. So we're going to start out with a question just kind of for everybody in the gang. We got Don here, we got Reggie, we got Dave. Who's the hottest as love in the cast and crew of Phantasm Ravager?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm going to throw it out to Angus. I mean, he's the driving force behind this entire series. I mean, we got our heroes, obviously, Reg and Mike, but man, Angus.
I beg to disagree, Dave.
Oh, yeah?
Hot as love, gotta be the Reg man, because Reggie's the one who coined the phrase, okay? That was his phrase, so he is hot as love.
What does that mean, Reg?
Well, it's kind of like being the lead sperm. You're just right out front, and then, like that.
It's take charge.
So a couple of years ago, I was at a screening of John Dies at the End at the Music Box Theater in Chicago, where you were there doing a Q&A. And I remember someone in the audience threw out, of course, the question, when is there going to be another Phantasm sequel? To which I rolled my eyes because I was like, oh, Oblivion ended it, which you said basically those words. Then a couple of months later, the trailer for Ravager comes out. So my question is, why'd you lie to us that night?
Well, we always keep a low profile in the Phantasm team here. Look, we never know if we're going to finish a movie, whether we're going to start it, and until, my father used to always say action speaks, and so we were hoping to get the film shot and finished before we really announced it, and also, making it on a very modest level. We actually announced it prematurely. We announced it, I think, in 2014, and it still took Dave another year to finish the visual effects, so it was premature.
New software came out. I had to.
Oh, yeah. So, there was always kind of a rock and roll vibe to Phantasm. Reggie's a musician. Thornberry's a musician. Like, when you were shooting Phantasm, like, the original Phantasm, what bands were you guys, like, really into?
Well, I think it's reflected in the score, because there were two, I don't know if you'd exactly call them, they are bands, yes. Yeah. I was listening to a lot of Pink Floyd, and I was listening to another very popular, I guess you'd call them electronica, Vangelis. Oh, yeah. And so those two albums that I was listening to, Dark Side of the Moon and the Vangelis album, I gave them to Fred Meyer, and I said, I want music like this. And that's what he came up with.
How about you, Reg?
Oh, well, I came out of folk clubs and stuff. Like, when I was in high school and stuff, I was already playing in folk clubs. And I was playing in...
band or, like, solo acoustic?
Well, I would do both. I would play in the small folk clubs by myself with just my guitar, because I started playing guitar when I was, like, 12. And because I figured out, if there was... I was going to write music. And then if I was going to write music... the guitar player to my left doesn't know what the song is, what the chords are, how it works,
Yeah.
So you got to accompany yourself, Reg. And so I just tried to get as good at playing guitar and singing at the same time as I could. So
that's a hard skill. People don't realize how hard that is.
They don't realize. But one of the good things that you can do to do that, to get that, talent straightened out, is to play live music. And, of course, the folk clubs were what was happening then. And there was places, there was the Antigua. They all had the Rouge et Noir, black and red, or red and black, excuse me. I got my colors mixed up. And these were like folk clubs that had stages. They had great sound systems. You could come and have a beer and or a glass of wine and just sit back and just listen to some great folk music. Guys like the Kingston Trio were running around. The Young Americans were playing all over the place. I was in the Young Americans, and it was just good stuff all the time.
Speaking of beer, I don't know if you guys know this, but Dos Equis is looking for a new most interesting man in the world. Reggie, how would you feel about that? Let's get the word out about it.
Well, yeah, Monsieur Dos Equis. Oh, no, wait. Senor Dos Equis. Just look this way.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
I love it. The Phantasm Ravager began as a series of shorts. What was the original intention of doing these shorts before you decided to cut it into a whole movie?
It's a good question. I mean, there was partly greed on my part that I could, I wanted to shoot a short and help my reel. I wanted to get a reel. I'm mainly an animation director, but my love's always been live action. I've been doing these short films since I was like 10 years old. So being able to do a short and have a Phantasm theme to it. How could you say no? So really, that's what it was. I didn't think Don would go for it, but he did, and then he brought the Wedge man in, and I mean, it really snowballed from there. We just kept doing. We had so much fun. It really, like Don said, I wasn't there, but it was much like they did the first film, and they had fun, and that's really what we did. It's work. We take it seriously, but we have a good time doing it too.
And I think some of that shows on the screen. Matt and I were up until 5:30 in the morning last night. Like we instead of doing one review, we just did like a conversation between the two of us about the movie, and we were happy that, like I said, it answers a lot of questions, but it also doesn't, and that's for better or worse depending on what you want out of a Phantasm movie. But I feel that's very Phantasm. The original film came from your script or from cutting it down from the massive 3-hour cut that we would all love to see one day?
It's somewhat of both, actually. Certainly, though, that there was a lot of experimental techniques going on in the editing room, and sometimes it's hard for me now to look back and tell you why I made some of those decisions, but I do know that being a little younger and a little more confident probably than I am nowadays after a long life of having my movies criticized, I just felt that I could take some of those steps in logic and make cuts here, and that I had a confidence that the audience would figure it out. And I think that that's maybe why Phantasm is successful, is the fact that it leaves a lot of it up to the audience, and it doesn't hand it all pre-digested. And I like that a lot about how Dave approached the movie in the newest film, and how that he challenges the audiences in spots. And in some of his cutting moments, I love how he cuts from Reggie's Krager Mag CUDA wheel spinning to the wheel of the wheelchair, that Reggie's stuck in, and also when Reggie's lost track of which reality is, and he's is he in the rest home, and he rounds the corner and he's in a war zone. Those are nice challenging moments.
We've all heard about the Phantasm Forever table read that apparently you helped out with the green screen stuff somewhat. Is there any chance, for the hardcore Phantasm fans out there, that could possibly be included as an extra on the Ravager disc?
I'm going to point that question to Don. I just helped out putting some together.
Someone's got to give us an answer.
Yeah, try Don.
Well, we have a lot of interesting material in the Phantasm vaults, and I don't know when we'll get to that, but I probably would require a year of visual effects, Dave. If you'd like to sign up, we could...
Well, guys, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We both enjoyed the film. Of course, on Daily Grindhouse, we ran a whole Phantasm week leading up to it. And, it was amazing to me how, I love the movie, but it was just absolutely amazing to me how I was getting 3,000-word tomes from everybody on staff about Phantasm and what it meant to them. And I think a lot of it has to do with, all the science fiction and horror stuff is great, but it's really about, and you mentioned it, you got Scrim to talk about the loyalty and family and friends.
Character dealing with age, and again, the dealing with the surrealness of, Alzheimer's and dementia, and jumping back and forth. Is it real? Is it not?
And I'd also like to just say it's also the heart and soul of these performers like Reggie here, who breathe life into it.
Yeah. Let's hope for one more appearance, but thanks a lot.